Can Lamine Yamal become the youngest World Cup winner ever? Imagine being so good that before turning 20 years old, you are already being compared to Messi. Imagine carrying the hopes of an entire nation and standing just a few matches away from football immortality. But here's the crazy question. Can Lamine Yamal become the youngest World Cup winner in football history? And if he does, the football world may never be the same again. A few years ago, almost nobody knew his name. He was just another talented kid playing football in Spain. Fast forward to today, and millions of fans believe he could become the future of football. Not next year, not in 5 years, right now. And that's what makes this story so unbelievable. Because most football stars need years to reach the top. Yamal arrived before most players even finished developing. But here's the first big question. Is he really ready for the biggest tournament in football? Or are fans expecting too much from a teenager? Comment below, is Yamal already world class? To understand why people are so excited about him, we need to look at what makes him special. The first thing everyone notices is his dribbling. When defenders see Yamal running toward them, they often don't know which direction he's going next. One touch, one movement, one sudden change of direction, and suddenly he's gone. The defender is left behind. Crowd is on its feet, and Spain is attacking again. But dribbling alone doesn't create football legends. Thousands of players can dribble. Very few can change games. And that's where Yamal becomes different. His decision-making is far beyond his age. Most young players panic under pressure. Yamal often looks calm. He sees passes. He creates chances. And sometimes he spots opportunities that experienced players miss. That's extremely rare, especially for someone so young. But now comes another question. Can great talent alone win a World Cup? History says no. Even some of the greatest players ever needed strong teammates around them. And that's exactly where Spain enters the story. Spain isn't relying on one player. They have talented midfielders, creative attackers, technical defenders, and a style of football built around possession and control. Now imagine adding a fearless teenager to that system, a teenager who doesn't seem afraid of big moments. Suddenly, Spain becomes much more dangerous. But here's something interesting. Many football fans forget that World Cups are different from club football. Very different, because in club football, you get another chance next week. At the World Cup, one bad game can end everything. One mistake, one missed chance, one moment, and your dream is over. So the real question becomes, can Yamal handle World Cup pressure? Let's talk about pressure for a second. Imagine walking into a stadium filled with 80,000 fans, millions watching around the world, every touch analyzed, every mistake criticized, every decision judged. Now imagine doing all that as a teenager. Most players would feel nervous. Most players would play safe. Most players would hide. But Yamal often does the opposite. He asks for the ball. He attacks defenders. He takes risks. And that confidence is one of the reasons fans believe he can become special. But confidence creates another problem. The bigger the hype becomes, the bigger the expectations become. And expectations can destroy careers. Football history is filled with wonder kids. Players who looked unstoppable. Players who were called the next Messi, the next Ronaldo, the next superstar. Many disappeared. Many failed. Many never reached their full potential. So here's a shocking question. What if football fans are putting too much pressure on Yamal? What if the world expects greatness too soon? It's a fair question. But then you watch him play again. You see the confidence, the vision, the dribbling, the creativity, and suddenly the hype starts making sense. Now imagine World Cup 2026. Spain enters the tournament. Fans are excited. Experts are making predictions. Every nation wants the trophy. And somewhere in the middle of all that pressure, a teenager steps onto the field, not just to participate, not just to gain experience, but to win. That's where this story becomes fascinating, because if Spain goes deep into the tournament, Yamal won't be hiding in the background. He'll be one of the main reasons they get there, and that changes everything. Let's imagine a possible scenario. Spain reaches the round of 16. Yamal scores. Spain reaches the quarterfinal. Yamal assists. Spain reaches the semifinal. Yamal creates another magical moment. Now suddenly, The entire football world is talking about him. Every newspaper, every football channel, every fan. One question dominates every conversation. Could this teenager actually win the World Cup? And if that happens, the pressure becomes enormous. But here's the scary part. The deeper you go in a tournament, the stronger the opponents become. Imagine facing France. Imagine facing Argentina. Imagine facing Portugal. Imagine facing England. These teams aren't afraid of young players. They've faced world-class stars before, and that's why the biggest challenge for Yamal isn't talent, it's consistency. Can he perform against the best defenders in the world? Can he deliver when everything is on the line? Can he produce magic when Spain needs it most? Those are the questions that separate good players from football legends. Now let's talk about something many people overlook. Big match mentality. Some players dominate small games. Others come alive on the biggest stage. Football history remembers players who perform when the pressure is highest. Think about the greatest moments you've ever watched. Most happened in big games, big tournaments, big finals, big pressure. And that's exactly what Yamal must prove, because talent gets you noticed. Big moments make you immortal. Imagine this, World Cup semifinal. The score is level. The clock is running down. Spain needs something special. The ball reaches Yamal. One defender, then another. The crowd holds its breath. Millions watching around the world. One move, one touch, one brilliant pass, goal. Spain reaches the final. Now stop for a second and think. If that happened, how many people would remember it forever? Probably millions. But wait, reaching the final is only half the story. Winning it is something completely different. Because on the other side could be another giant. Maybe Argentina, maybe Portugal, maybe France, maybe Brazil. One match, 90 minutes, everything on the line, and suddenly a teenager has the chance to become part of football history. Not someday, not years later, right now. This is why so many fans are fascinated by Lamine Yamal, because his story feels different. Most football careers follow a predictable path. Learn, develop, improve, peak. Yamal seems to be skipping steps, and that doesn't happen often. That's why people are watching him so closely. Not because he's already the greatest, but because of what he might become. So let's return to the original question. Can Lamine Yamal become the youngest World Cup winner ever? The answer is simple. Yes, he absolutely can. But talent alone won't be enough. He'll need a great team, great performances, great moments, and maybe a little bit of luck, because every World Cup champion needs luck somewhere along the journey. The opportunity is there, the talent is there, the stage is ready. Now all that's left is to see whether history chooses him. And now for the final question. Imagine the World Cup final. Spain is leading. The final whistle blows. Lamine Yamal lifts the trophy. At that moment, would he become the future face of football? Yes. No too early to tell. Comment your answer below. And if you believe Yamal could make history, leave a like, because football may be watching the beginning of its next superstar.